So a very good evening to everyone. So I am Aman Raghuvanshi.
I'm Harsh Pandey, and we'll be your host for today's session. Let's talk about analytics.
Analytics in one way or another. Organizations have begun using sophisticated analytic techniques to identify growth areas, streamline costs, increase operating margins, make better human resource decisions, and devise more effective budgets. The influence of data also spills over into our personal lives, healthcare, the environment, and much more. In simple words, the analysis of data to draw hidden insights to aid in decision making is data analytics.
You realize that what we consider to be simple spreadsheets can truly change the game. We are all aware of the significant role that AI and data analysis play in the modern world. Therefore, we have someone who will inform you of everything you need to know about data and its uses. So we have with us our esteemed alumnus, Mr. Prakash Jhawar of the 2011 batch. He has completed his MS in Mathematics and Computing from IIT Guwahati after his Bachelor's in Science from University of Calcutta in Mathematics. He has more than 10 years of experience in the development, deployment, and validation of important analytics programs. Apart from working with TransUnion, Bank of Baroda, and Andhra Bank, he has also taught data science at LPU and is currently working at IIM Etihad Credit Bureau as a lead analyst. He is also the head of Dubai chapter of IITG Alumni Association. Without taking much of your time, we would like to call upon Mr. Prakash Jhawar to introduce himself and tell us about his experiences in life at IIT Guwahati.
Thank you so much, Harsh and Aman. It's really a pleasure for me to be invited in such a esteemed forum. And this is very special for me because it is almost a decade that I left IIT Guwahati in 2011. So it's more like a nostalgic moment. So as you rightly said, that analytics is and the data is going to be, and it's already the next big thing and already a big thing here. So I think it's really important to talk about my experiences into the data elements wherever we have worked. So I will try to quickly, give you a quick overview of, what all things I have done so as far as my academics and work experience is concerned. So I left IIT Guwahati in 2011. I did my master's from there, and previously I did my graduation in mathematics honors. So you can imagine it is a complete specialized area into core mathematics. But at that time, I was not aware about this analytics stream. To be very honest, I was just good at mathematics in 11, 12, and as usual, I hated physics and chemistry, so I had left with no choices but to opt for something to do with only mathematics because I never liked biology. So it was just like having no choice, and that's why I was more into mathematics, to be very honest. But having said that, all those calculations and other mathematical stuffs always has attracted me. But I was very fortunate enough to be from that league from where the analytics market has started booming. I was one of the early, I left in 2011, and that period of time, the analytics was not very new. That time it was like if you talk about the banking, maybe there are certain US based companies who used to develop lots of scoring models for all the banks. Also, it's in-house within India. This ecosystem was not very popular as the way it is right now. So I have seen it evolving from that to now. Though I started my career as a faculty in a private university, followed by that I was there at IIM Calcutta for 1 year as a research and teaching associate. Then followed by that another 3 years into an IT company, enhancing the Oracle products and giving the pre-sales and designing some sort of analytic solutions for the existing clients. And then I joined, the venture of Bank of Baroda and Andhra Bank. and I shifted to Mumbai in 2017. I served there for 3 years, and followed by that, I joined CIBIL, which is the India's largest credit bureau. Like in India, there are four credit bureau: CIBIL, Experian, Equifax, and CRIF. So I was part of the TransUnion CIBIL analytics team, and from there I moved to Dubai. So right now I'm heading the analytics function at Al Etihad Credit Bureau, and I am here for the last 1.5 years. So from a core mathematics student to someone into academics, research, into IT, from there to a specific vertical into banking. So this is my transition into these roles.
So, Bhaiya, let's start with your life at IITG. What skills have you learned in IITG that helped you later in your life?
See, to be very honest, IIT Guwahati was more than just academics to me. So I will try to just give this answer to the context that from when I reached IIT Guwahati. So before that, I was working in a so-called Gurukul kind of environment in the Ramakrishna Mission Vidya Mandira Belur Math, where needed to wake up at morning 5 o'clock, do prayers, only 15, 17 members of batch, and into completely dedicated to mathematics. Now from there, and there also we had our own sort of timings. Like in a day, you can only go out for 1 hour. In Sundays, you can go maybe for 4, 5 hours outside. So those are the some sort of complete disciplined and regulated by other supervisor. So that was the kind of the educational life I led before IIT Guwahati during my graduation. So the moment I entered into IIT Guwahati and such a huge campus, you guys will definitely start missing. Maybe now you have taken it for granted, but the moment you will leave this campus, believe me, I mean, you will not find such a even very easily, outside the campus. As I was saying, IIT Guwahati was like more like understanding the your ambition first of all, that what you want to do, because there you have all the competitive students, all sort of exposure, everything is there in front of you. Now it is, sometimes it becomes confusing that you end up thinking a lot, and like I can do this also, I can do that also. So earlier it was a thinking that I will be able to crack IIT JE, maybe I will be doing this. But the moment you are into this campus, you need to select what you don't want to do, because you have so many options. So it is very important for someone to to lock few things, that this is something which I don't want to do. This is very important. I feel somehow if you start from this mindset, then you will end up selecting one or two verticals, and then you will put your complete energy into that and try to maximize the outcome from it. So that way it was very clear, like when I entered into IIT Guwahati, and the kind of courses I had, I was doing this maths and computing, and you can imagine there you have all sort of courses, like financial mathematics to discrete mathematics to numerical analysis, everything. So I was very particular. Like I said, I never had read physics and chemistry. I was always like all my maths tuitions, tuitions, you can imagine. I left my physics and chemistry tuitions and put the same effort and hired, more tuitions into mathematics. The same way, when I entered into IIT Guwahati, I I figured out that these are the subjects where I deserve a DD. Okay, so out of 10, 4 grade I DD. So I did not spend more energy. I knew I am not good. For example, I will not, without with due credit and due respect, there are certain subjects which I failed from the day one, that these subjects are not meant for me. So no matter how much, and what will happen if I study more, if I am, trying to remember a few things, maybe I will end up getting CC or BC, for example. I don't know whether that same grade systems are there or not. So CC means 6, and BC means it is 7 out of 10. So but then I realized that this is not something I want to do. I don't want to care about my grade. Rather, I will try to focus on financial derivatives, on probability and statistics. So these things was very clear. So so what I was, so the reason I'm telling you all this is just I'm trying to connect the dots, and in a way that these are the things which I have selected into those 2 years without my 100% future proof intention, but rather in the process it helped me choose those kind of subjects which led me to a career on which I'm right now into. So on that sense, just to summarize, IIT Guwahati has helped me in opening up all the options which I can do, so that I can select the best which suits my profile, and where from I can do the best thing which I could do.
So we are moving on to the technical part of this meeting. So there's a question that there are so many analyst profiles like data analyst, tech analyst, business analyst. What can you tell me what is the major difference between them?
Surely, Harsh. I think this is very, very important, and especially someone having the potential and wanting to start in the right kind of roadmap. So I would call this question like, what should be the right kind of roadmap? So maybe I will try to give you my example, because I somehow feel that it helped me to understand and to gather the bigger picture in a better way. So I started, I just when I completed my master's, I randomly floated my CV in everywhere, and whatever role I was getting into analytics and all, when I wanted to move into analytics, I told yes, that I am okay to everything. I am okay, open to learn also. So the first role was, it was a quite established Oracle partner company. They did not have any kind of analytics practice. So they told me that we have our own clients. You need to come on board, and you need to help us understand in which all area you can benefit us, and then we can propose this solution to the client. If the client agrees, there will be commercial, there will be pre-sales, and then there will be execution. So what I ended up doing is all sort of R&D. I simply asked my CXO that which all domain you have the clients. He said, I have healthcare, I have manufacturing, I have cement industry. So I have simply Googled that what can be the use cases into all this kind of industry. For example, into cement industry, they are dealer driven industry. So there are lots of dealers who come on board and then they'll leave. So the moment you hire, someone as a dealer or the distributor, and if this person goes to some other competitor, then it is a huge business loss for you. Like, so at a pan India level, if their number of dealers are 10,000, and if your churning rate is maybe 2 to 3%, at somehow using analytics, you can help the company mitigate this kind of risk and identify that these are your likely dealers who are going to leave. Then this can be a very good proposition. You can quantify that this is how much you are able to save for this company, and this is how much you have invested for this kind of use cases. So, and this helped me to understand and to see a bigger picture, that analytics is not very deviated from the business. So now, it can be directly linked to the business numbers, as if you are owning a vertical, you are $100 million company, and using analytics, your objective is to cross the organic growth. So if the organic growth is maybe 10%, then using analytics you should be aiming to grow maybe 20 or 25%. How? So now the roles which are talking about, like data analyst, data scientist, like visualization, data engineering, there are all sort of role. I would tell that you can start from anyone, and in 10 years you have to complete everything. So it is not possible for someone to know Power BI, to know R, to know Python, to know SAS, to know ML, to know data engineering. It is an ocean. Okay, you are just it is just 18. You have entered into the campus, another 4 year, all the subjects, and at the end of your graduation, it is not expected from you. So what is expected from you? The expectation is to have this kind of mindset, whether when someone will be taking your interviews. Okay, They will just try to understand what kind of person you are and what is your ability to crunch the data and to get a quick insights from this data, and whether you can convey those data into the language of a story. Now you can imagine that you can, so for example, today is my webinar. When I was discussing with you guys, I mean, you guys have proposed maybe we can have a slide, we can simply talk, we can ask a Q&A. So the objective is same, to have an interaction. Similarly, if you are talking about the analytics, there's a visualization like Power BI, Tableau, and all these things. There, if you are comfortable in talking to the CXOs using help of Power BI and all these tools, visualization tools, good. You start your role as a visualization expert, as a Power BI developer, and gradually move into the core analytics, functional kind of role. Now, if you think you are a very good coder, okay, not everyone is a good coder. It is not, that someone has to be a coder, someone has to be, there is nothing fixed. Analytics is such an area where I have people like who is a doctor. There is someone who is a very dear friend of mine. He is a doctor, and right now doctor from AIMS. We work together in a startup, and then right now he is the data strategy lead at Novartis, the pharma company. So you can imagine the kind of transition he had. I had someone, long back, someone from Big Four. He took my interview. At the end of the interview, the kind of questions he asked me, I was so impressed that I ended up asking him, "Ki, sir, what is your background? If you can tell me." He told me that my background is BCom. You will not believe he was talking me in the language of eigenvalue, eigenvector, this linear algebra, this probability, everything. So what happens is, and he was quite senior. He was around 15 years of experience at that point of time. Though that time analytics maturity, if you talk about, it is not very like AI and all those things driven, but like a conventional logistic regression based algorithms or something where they are a champ. So what I'm trying to give more emphasis is these kind of roles are just a medium for you to start the road. You need to understand the end objective. If you are only looking for getting a job that I will do some certificates in Python and R, or maybe PySpark, or maybe Power BI or Tableau, it will certainly help you, because sometimes when you cannot see the bigger picture, you need to trust on the starting point. This is important, I understand. Even I also can connect, because I am having a 10 to 12 years of experience. Now I can connect. Now when you are starting it, you have to start with from somewhere, right? So that you can choose. Just think that what you are you a coder, are you a thinker, are you a are you someone who loves finding the solutions? Are you good at presentations? What is your skill? You are a marketing guy, you are a sales guy, you are a techie, what is it? And then you think of your starting point, and from there you need to develop. But at the end, within next 8 to 10 years, you need to be more or less have to have the working knowledge of all sort of tools available. Yeah.
So going to the next question, we lot of have we lot we all have this doubt while looking for a role in data science and analytics. What are the major aptitude and mathematics topics that students should be good and aware of?
Yeah. I think, as I was saying that, when you talk about the mathematics and aptitude, then definitely there is its own way of, going into the complex topics like probability, real analysis, topology, everything. It's fine. Those things are already there. But there is a fundamental also, right? So for example, if you are talking about something in analytics, okay? So and where the intention is to predict, okay, then what you will do, you need to know your historical data, and you should be able to predict some event which is going to happen in future but has also happened in the past. So for example, there are, if you talk about gender, for example, within IIT Guwahati, maybe males are 70%, females are 30%. Now, if you are talking about CJ, your CGPA more than 8, maybe out of this 30%, girls are maybe for 50%, they are getting more than 8. For males, maybe 30% they are getting more than 8. Okay, so that means if you talk about only these three in an Excel sheet, if you take only these three columns like gender, where you have two labels, male and female, then their distribution, which is 70 and 30, then they are, for example, getting a good CGPA, which is 50% and 30%. So you have only three columns. You can apply your own sort of p-value and statistical formulas and everything to understand whether this variable is significant enough or not, etc., etc. But just imagine, is there any difference which you can see between male and female? Yes, apparently we can see. Is there a good number? It is a possibility that in the campus there is no girl, for example. And if there is only one girl and that girl is getting more than 80%, then it is 100%, right? But in that case, you can conclude that we don't have enough sample. So there is a, there is has its own sort of way of seeing it from a statistical point of view. But only think of this example: 70% and 30%, and your rate is, getting a good CGPA is 50 to 30. So from a business point of view, this variable looks good. That means if I want to predict whether someone is going to have a good grade or CGPA, your gender is a good variable, right? Then there will be a statistical point also. Now, number two, for example, in IIT Guwahati, there are students from many cities. Top 80% is coming from top 5 cities. For example, Kolkata, Bangalore, Mumbai, Delhi, and Hyderabad. And the 20% is coming from rest all the city. So what you can do, if you have your 100,000 students, database, then you can simply have there, there is a one column which is their city from which they are coming. You can have another column where you can only keep the top 5, and rest all you will combine in others. Okay, so what will happen is, and then you see whether there is a difference between their bad rate or not. Okay, and if you see that there is a difference between their bad rate from a business point of view, and then you think of from a statistical point of view like p-value and etc., and then you have your own judgment whether this variable is significant or not. So the first step is to identify all sort of variable and then giving a sort of prediction. So there can be certain business problem for which you don't have a variable. So coming to your those answers, that after getting the data, the first acumen should be that to visualize it and to connect it with the context, that what you are going to do from a business point of view. Then second layer from a statistical point of view, and then you end up choosing maybe 10 or 12 variables, and that is where you can start playing and build your sophisticated models and algorithms. Yeah.
So I have this question that what are the key differences and challenges between working in artificial intelligence for a big IT consulting firm versus a startup?
Um, I think it is quite a subjective, but at the same time, it is really important to understand the difference. Why? Because especially coming from these premier institutes, you will you will get offers, or maybe you will be having sort of discussions with certain well-funded startups, and that time you will probably think that should you join in a quite established big four consulting where there is a roadmap and it is a proven and tested, or you should go into a startup kind of ecosystem. So somehow I feel, this is just my personal view from my experience. There is not sort a so far so-called right or wrong, but I feel someone who is really good in tech, okay, like is extremely good, a coder, it's a full stack developer. This kind of role is someone is aiming for. And if you are confident that maybe you have learned enough, now you need to start implementing, and in your dreams you have something to create, then directly you go into a startup. Why? Because there the learning is too much. It is not a 9 to 5 job. You have your 24 hours, so you can experiment with your passion. And along with that, if you are getting good paid, you are getting ESOPs, you have you think this startup is going to flourish in future, I think you can take a call. So So just to, I mean, give you the context, maybe once you pass out from IIT Guwahati, maybe next 3 to 4 year, 5 year, you can plan, okay, to work in a startup, okay. But at the age, after next 5 year, if you think that your career is not going in a right shape and all, try to jump into quite a established firm, be there 3 4 year and get it settled. Otherwise, if you are doing really good, then within 5 year you can reach maybe 10x 15x, I don't know. So you need to take it, that a call. But as I said, that the big four and the consulting, they have their own sort of, they are quite a proven and tested. There is a high chance that you will be successful. You will be getting the best practices. This is really important because sometimes you end up learning everything, and this learning is not good. I mean, it is not. For example, so it is so, and it's not the right approach. So what you needed to do after 4 5 years, then you need to unlearn everything, and then again start from zero. So it is like getting a mentor and not getting a mentor. Someone who is pro don't think, that they don't need any mentor and those kind of things. Go ahead, whatever you would do, you can do. But sometimes we need direction. Even I also need a direction, right? That whether what I'm doing is sort of, that is right kind of approach or not. So that is where what you will do is, you will be part of some sort of projects where there is a industry experts, there is a good right kind of mentor, best practices, and you will end up learning the right thing in a right way. So for example, as I said, initially I was into a pre-sale sort of role, and then when I moved to a quite established firm, there I realized that I know more or less everything, whatever they are doing. But when I was working in the initial stage, I already always, used to tell me in interview that whatever I learned on my own into analytics. So I don't know whether it's best practices, but what I think, it is the best, it is the right kind of practice. But when I moved into a established firm, it was a validation for me, okay, that yes, this is what you know and it is right. This is what you know and it is not right. You need to unlearn it. You need to learn something which is right. So it depends again that what kind of profiles you want to move into. So think on from a 5 to 10 years of, picture, and accordingly take your call.
So we are coming to the next question. How much importance does visualization have in analytics?
Sure. I think, it's really it's one of the most crucial way, because uh, through the tools who are into this visualization all, from there you will be able to connect with your business leader in the company. If you simply write a code, you cannot talk to your CEO or CXOs, right? I mean, you will end up doing only coding, coding, coding. But finally, if you really want to talk into the business numbers, want some buy-ins from the CXO, you want some sort of budget approval, or you want to actually showcase that this is the kind of, insights which you can generate for the company, which can have several implications. It can be a pure insight, just a food for thought, that okay, this is what it is happening. This is a trend line last 12 months. This is a QOQ growth. This is a YOY growth. This is how the buying patterns and everything. Fine, this is just insight. But imagine you want to really do something big with the help of analytics, where you want to talk to the revenue numbers and you want to show an incremental benefit with the help of analytics. For example, the business is going as usual, nothing. I mean, for example, if you talk about insurance company or a FMCG, people are buying biscuits, Britannia is earning money, people are buying insurance, the companies like, SBI Life, HDFC Life, all the insurance companies are getting money. But are you missing something? Can we identify that this is the customer whom I am selling, for example, 1000 rupees product, but this customer is looking forward to, buying a 2000 rupees product, and he has a potential also. So am I doing some sort of under selling to him? Am I losing some potential? So if you can, identify at a customer level and you imagine it at a segment level, where, people like you, when I'm talking about people, I mean, about you, it is only you. When I'm talking about people like you, it is a big market, and especially markets like India. And if somehow we can predict that this can be your buying behavior, and if we can proactively give you some sort of campaign, give you some sort of offer, then maybe I will end up gaining more customers and that is going to be my incremental benefit, right? So these are the numbers which can definitely be presented to the management or the higher authority in a very sophisticated and a simple language. You can talk, and if you think that you need a support while talking, and maybe the attention span is maybe 5 to 10 minutes, you just have 5 minutes meeting with your CXO. And what you will do, you will simply try to plot some of the charts and just so that if you are not using analytics, this is your for example, top 30 is going to predict top 30%. If you are using analytics, top 30 is going to predict 50 or 80%. So this additional 20 or 50%, that is your incremental benefit which analytics can give you. So it is very important to talk on this from a visualization point of view, but at the same time, always remember, don't overcomplicate things. You cannot just focus on being a lovely developer, right? Especially coming from this kind of premier institute where your objectives should be finally going into a sort of functional and business driven kind of role. And definitely you can choose becoming a techie. There is absolutely no doubt on it, but you can also do really good from a business perspective. So think of those lines. So a working knowledge you should have, but then you need to choose between whether you want to deep dive it and be the champ of this tool, or you just want to hire few developers from outside and get it done, and the outcome and the insight you want to control so that you can present to the business user in the language they want to hear.
So, if we talk about the return on investment, which sector do you think can generate maximum ROI with least industry investment from analytics? Agriculture, BFSI, telecom, media, or some other company? What do you think?
I think uh, I think because this is a question which I was asked sometimes back also. But I think which industry not. I think if you are talking about the ROI, all the industries have the potential to give you right kind of return by the investment of analytics. So, for example, if I'm talking about insurance in India, especially after COVID and the digitization, the penetration has increased so much. Earlier, maybe 2%, 5% in some specific areas, people having life insurance. Now, you reach out to the customer, you talk them in their language that what is the benefit which they can get from it, and this will give you the more number of customers in terms of volume, and then you just predict the risk and control the money leakages for the claims and etc. And accordingly you can position yourself. And there are certain insurer, if you are talking about the life insurer in India, like there are life insurance, there are general insurance, there are health insurance. So within life also there are more than 20 apart from LIC, you can imagine. And all the companies are profit making almost, right? They are doing so well after this COVID. So you can imagine, if you are talking about this vertical where there is no cost of your product, or I mean no physical product, it is just sort of agreement, and this industry can give you so much return into analytics. Now talk about agriculture. Now in India, in terms of potential, so much consumer, and you need the in-house, you cannot depend on on importing everything from outside. You need to optimize your resources to understand the what how you can maximize the return from it, right? So it will lead to sort of innovative thinking. So and at the same time, whether you are able to generate money out of it or not, every industry has sort of potential. Apparently it looks like banking has, because banking has the fund, but it does not mean that they would like to invest everything into analytics and try to improvise with the help of analytics. So whatever field you are into, I know people who are into. So for example, I have worked into healthcare, into insurance, into banking, and some part into manufacturing. So there are people who have probably worked into various. I know someone who works into a cement firm, and he joined there from a IT consulting company, and he served there for 10 years. He is from IIT Kharagpur. So you can imagine, he is moving from one one industry to a complete separate industry, because analytics is not it's not a it's a data dependent field. It's not a domain dependent. So the same sort of business problem you can solve, and this business problem can be from agriculture. Same business, same kind of solutions can also be applicable to banking. For example, you are using logistic regression or regression. I'm talking about the technicalities. So it is possible to I mean, and that is why sometimes the big companies, they hire people with cross-functional background, so that they have this I mean, this in their mind, that to see a bigger picture, that some solution which is a proven and tried and tested to a specific industry, whether that can be replicated into some other ones or not. So, that's the point. Yeah.
So we are coming to the next question. I think everyone has this doubt. What is the roadmap for preparation for the roles in analytics?
Okay, so when you are talking about the preparation, I'm sure you are talking about your interviews, right? Not. I mean, just uh, from your end of the course to interview. This is what you are
Yes,
talking
yes.
about, or throughout your life, how to learn analytics and all. I'm sure in your mind right now it is about interviews. So I will try to restrict myself only within that. Okay.
Okay.
Sure. So I think in terms of preparation, I think when you're talking about only cracking the interviews, you need to the stick to the fundamentals, right? So whether you have the right kind of maths knowledge, okay, and you have a inclination or passion for the coding, and whether logically how you are, I mean, whether you are you will be able to translate the business needs and solve it with the help of analytics or not. So just giving a simple example, some company don't have any data, they just want to start a business. Okay, so they just start up idea, and I mean, they don't have any data. They want to you know mm, maximize their potential and tap into a market, whether where and in such a way that they can get a maximum return. What you will do? You don't have any data, you don't have any target variable also. That time you will try to or think that what are the data sources which can be made available. For example, your name, okay, and obviously name may not be the right kind of variable, but if you can, for example, I mean, for example, what is your religion, if you can predict from your name, okay, or for example, your age, your gender, your nationality, and even, for example, what time you came for the inquiry, right? That if you have come for an inquiry night 12, for example, there is a like edu tech firm like Byju's or Upgrad or all those things, where someone is making an inquiry at night 12 o'clock. So you can imagine that how necessity or how much the person would be, is driving the person to do an inquiry that point of time. So for a sales guy, maybe this can be a very good kind of lead, right? That this is the kind of customer whom we can tap into. So in terms of in terms of your preparation, finally, for this kind of your interviews and all, it is important to understand that the company where you are going for the interviews and all, in which areas they are into, whether you can identify some of the use case for them and tell them this can be a possible solution. The next question can be, I don't have data, what I will do? Then you will tell them that maybe these are the data sources which you can have. These are the data sources which you can buy from external parties. Like, for example, if you're talking about credit bureau, someone having a credit card or a loan, their credit footprints are there with the credit bureau. So if by any chance it is possible to integrate those and get this kind of data. Now, for example, you have used Ola, Uber, whether from Ola and Uber, it is possible to have sort of tie up so that I can get you this kind of information, right? So you can think of from a digital footprint point of view that, and especially into digital era, you have lots of footprint, right? And whether someone can link all sort of data and create a 360-degree view of you as a customer for the analyst or the developer to create sort of clustering or the train for customer like you. This is very important. Think of this language that customer like you and try to predict or build sort of prototypes around it so that it becomes an use case for customer in a company ABC. You can tell them for customers like this you can do this. If you talk about generic, like you can do this, then there will be lots of questions that why do you think it can be done? This is not our target or no audience, this is not our strategy, everything. But if you think that this kind of solutions is applicable for customers like this of this segment, then this company can actually think that okay, let us see how we can accommodate this. So try to link it into those areas and give some talking points to the company so that they can start talking to you, understand, go into your brain, and then you have your quant skills to give them some sort of logical answers. And on top of it, if you are champ already in coding or Python and etc., you open up, you just give them some points to speak on those languages, right?
That's the thing. I think we have touched upon almost every topic. So I think we should open the floor for questions from the audience. So I request the audience if they have any questions, they can raise their hands and unmute them and they can talk directly to you.
So I have a doubt. Like, what kind of challenges do you face at this position uh, in your job?
um, to be very honest, if you are talking about the specifics at my present position, I think getting right kind of resources, this is very important, because sometimes your deliveries are into such a stringent timelines, and also you need people who are having all sort of acumen, right? Because analytics is not something where it's just a specific vertical. You need to have those acumen into a talking into a business language. You need to have a good maths background, coding background, visualization, your communications, everything is together into this kind of role. So getting a right kind of smart people and is really something which is a challenge. The other reason is if someone is right, having had the right kind of fit, this kind of people are of high demand in the market. So the moment you hire them, you train them, for example, then maybe in some time they will getting a much better offers, and then there is a good kind of attritions also. So for this industry, I feel at this moment of time, this is a challenge to retain people, especially into the fields like analytics. But apart from that, in terms of challenges, getting the insights from sort of unstructured data, the data is sometimes not in a right format, or maybe whenever you want to predict something, at that point of time, your some of the data sources are not available, your technology and all those other integrated stuffs are not maybe talking to each other well. Maybe something is of Oracle, something of some other product. So those are the other kind of challenges. So I think these are the primary challenges which I can tell you upfront.
So we have a doubt from Saurav here, Saurav Singh Thakur here. What is the difference between data analytics and data science?
Okay. I think these are sort of buzzwords like data scientist, data analytics, and data, I mean, for example, data engineering. So as I said, within a span of 8-10 years, almost everything looks like the similar kind of profiles. But having said that, data science to me is more like a, quite advanced analytics, you can say. For example, some of the solutions using rule based classifications problem or a regression or clustering, etc., versus some problem, some solution using sort of AI and the other stuffs were more like R&D kind of field. So that is kind of data science, which I would say. But at the same time, data analytics is like very close, where it is about the analysis of the data, and at the same time, implementing those solutions into already developed, for example, some packages into R or Python, and you simply use those packages and you try to implement those things, and that is more like a functional kind of role. Apparently there are not much difference, but if we really need to talk about the fundamental difference between these two areas, I think these are the two main aspects.
Tarun, I know this might be a bit of personal question, but what is the average salary in the job roles through analytic consulting?
I was expecting this question, and I am very surprised to, hear it so late. I think it depends, that what kind of background you have, what kind of, things you can deliver from day one. But just to give you a ballpark number, from any other field, I mean, with due respect to other fields, but the way this field is evolving in India and globally, and especially into this area of AI, 5G, and artificial intelligence and all these things into considerations, and also the digitization, where digitally you need to know someone. So there is a probably there is a good amount of case studies to predict fraud, to predict the customer lifetime value, and this can be applicable into any area. It can be e-commerce. If you are into Flipkart, you just name a company where they don't have analytics. Earlier there was only limited to few of the verticals. Now you name e-commerce, Flipkart, Amazon, Myntra, they have their huge analytics team. You talk about telecom, Jio, Airtel, Vodafone, they have their analytics team. You talk about insurance company, they have analytics. You talk about banking, they have analytics. You name about, for example, the globally, I'm working in a credit bureau right now. If you talk about any credit bureau globally, any data repository, companies having right kind of data repository, they have analytics. So when you have so much options, right, that means what? That means there is so much demand for this field, and I see for the next 15 years at least, that is my personal view, this demand will still be same. And on that note, my belief is average salary of analytics should be much higher than any other field. So I cannot give you a ballpark starting package because it will be very much subjective. But for someone especially coming from this top tier institutes, I don't think you should be aiming to settle something less. Okay, you just have your right kind of skills, and this is there. And to be very honest, if you are not getting the starting salary after 3 years, your salary and someone having a huge starting package, you will see that after 4 or 5 years or 10 years, it will be same. It's just about whether you were able to contact the right person when you started, or you took it as it is and you did some sort of experiment and you ended up doing. So don't focus on the starting salary. As I said, think of a 5 to 7 years plan, and after 5 years your salary should be this much, no matter how much, how from where you start. This is just my advice. Maybe there is another better way of thinking it, but this is what I think.
Yeah, we have a question from Rajesh as well. He has asked that what is the scenario of data analysis in the automobile sector? Especially, there is a trend of electronic vehicles going on. So, what do you think? What is the trend and scenario of data analysis there?
See, maybe this question may not be that relevant to me because I have never worked in automobile, but I can answer it because I got an offer earlier from a top automobile firm in India. Though that time I stick to banking because that is something where I have worked and I did not deviate it from my own area. But into the automobiles industry, if you talk about the companies like Tata Motors or Ashok Leyland or Mahindra, just go in LinkedIn and check the kind of people who are working there. You will see all sort of heavyweight people, and the kind of case studies like for example, this automated driving, it is based on sort of AI and analytics in the background. So as you said, there is no accuracy. I mean, no limit to the accuracy. Someone can develop a automated car having a 99.99% accuracy, for example. Now, after 99 and below 100 days, another so many digits, like you can end up reaching 99.2, 99.22. So there is no end to it. And if you are really smart in understanding those nuances, and if you are able to develop those kind of things, there is a huge potential. So automobile industry, I feel, and especially into countries like India, where the infrastructure is such an emerging market, right? And the infrastructures are getting built, like automated toll. If you go in any toll, and you have that Paytm FASTag, right? I mean, gradually. And for example, when I'm seeing in Dubai, I see here everything automated. You just go, to a road, automatically your toll and everything will be cut. Now, and at the same time, these fines, when I see into cities like this, I mean, the road penalties and fines, everything is such an automated that you do something wrong, they will capture you. They will try to see you are this kind of, you are this. You in real time, they will know who are you. They have such a good predictive model behind it. So as I said, it is so evolving, and I feel that this industry do has a lots of use cases. And as I said, go to just LinkedIn and just see the companies. Just Google what are the automobile companies in India, sort it basis their last 1 or 2 years revenue. Go into LinkedIn, check who are working there, try to build your connections, understand or discuss the use cases, pick 1 or 2 use cases, participate in some Kaggle or this kind of competitions, get some raw data or dummy data from UCLA machine learning repository or some sort of online forums. Try to build some sort of scenarios, have some accuracy, go and talk to them, come back, improvise, go to them, give them interview, and then accordingly, if you think that this is the right kind of field or the domain you want to go into, just go for it.
So we have a next question from Mohit Gupta. What tools or particularly programming languages we need to get hand on for getting shortlisted for these kind of roles?
I think this is really important because there are talks. You can talk that you can, you need to be a champ in business and everything, but at the end of the day, your CV will be shortlisted, which is the tool to be very honest. It is a very, it is a truth, and we need to accept it. So on that note, it is important to. Am I audible? Am I not audible?
If you are audible.
Okay, sure, sure. So hence it is important to mention some of the tools and get your hands dirty into it. So if it is before, like I worked mainly in art for the last 8 years. Okay, even I started from IIT Guwahati. I did my project there, and that is where that professor made me come into art. I was not knowing about art, so I am really indebted to that professor in mathematics, so that he helped me to move into this field. That time it was just a force to me that you end up learning art, and it helped me to go into or remain into this field. But for you, I think if it is today's era, I think Python is really good. You have to Python is a must have, no matter what background you are from. Okay, Python is a must have. At the same time, you can also think of building sort of apps, trying to ML ops, like deploying some sort of machine learning algorithms to a production, and trying to use the analytics. Developing a model is important, but it has to be a production ready, right? So those kind of skills into data engineering and data ML ops. I feel ML ops engineering, R and Python and all these tools, SAS, these are just going apple and orange. I mean, almost together. So you can think of building your career, I mean, resume and your skill set around this.
We'll have the last question for today. So it was asked by Sushant that what would be the effect of upcoming anticipated recession on data analytics and data science? Will it grow to find more revenue streams or shrink as companies will hesitate to
So
invest in
sorry,
exploring?
I just got distracted from one of the questions which someone has asked. The last question. May we know what watch you are wearing?
Yeah.
Can can you please come in video and then ask me this question so that I also can see you and accordingly, you know, I mean, whether you want to compare your watch with mine, I just want to know more.
Ritik, if you are there, you can join.
It's okay. I think he has probably left, right? I mean, it's fine. So yeah, just to answer you, it is just a 6-year-old watch. The maybe the lights are coming directly, so it's shining. It is nothing, just not that fancy. Just to answer your question. Anyways,
Yeah, the question was what would be the effect of upcoming anticipated recession on data analytics and data science? Will it grow to find more revenue streams or shrink as companies will hesitate to invest in exploring?
see, I think this is very timely question, I would say, because there are lots of talks globally. It is not only specific to a country and all, but it is globally. This kind of talks are going on, where you would maybe think that I have option for these 3, 4 companies, and whether I should go for this company one or company two. And if I'm going company one, there is a high chance which you think that it will fall into recession trap and all. So whether it is right kind of move or not. So as I was saying that, if you are talking about recession, what it will do? It just tries to hit your top line of your business growth, and at the end of the day the company don't make any kind of business growth, and in turn they end up losing some of their revenue shares. So this is what happens in recession. Now I can show you few companies maybe for whom their total revenue is maybe 50 cr and their investment into analytics is 10 cr. Again, I can show you some company where their revenue is 5,000 cr and their investment into analytics is just 1 or 2 cr. It is about which company do you think will be able to benefit out of analytics, and those companies you should select. So for example, if you're talking about automobile, if you're talking about banking, okay, these are the industry where they need to disburse their loan, they need to sell their vehicles, they need to maintain their vehicles, and they should be heavily dependent on the underlying data, right? For example, the insurance, if you want to do the pricing from an actual point of view and etc., you need lots of data. So for that industry, no matter what kind of recession and everything is coming, if they want to continue their business, whether analytics is their core business function or not, okay, then these companies should not be impacted by recession and so-called global events. But if there are certain companies for which no matter what they do, they have their organic growth, right? So if I talk about, for example, for example, I'm just talking loud. Maybe IRCTC. Maybe I'm giving a wrong example. No matter what happens, you will still go into a train. There is no other thing. Train is only one monopoly. It is Indian Railways, right? So whether analytics would be the core business vertical or not, it can be, but at the same time, it can be a question also. So that is when you can think of that maybe if it is not their core vertical, then not something of your aspiration. Rather, if you have options to go into some other relevant companies, you should go for it.
So we are at last. We would like to thank you for taking out time from your busy schedule and you came for this session. It was such an insightful session, and we learned a lot from you.
Thank you so much, Aman. Thank you, Aman and Hertz, the other organizing committee members from Shell. It's really a pleasure for me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.